Okay, it is March 6th, Monday, March 6th. My birthday was 3 days ago, and internally I have this belief that after my birthday there should not be snow, or at least it shouldn't snow anymore. But it snowed last night, and not just a little bit. We got a few inches, I'd say between 4 to 6 inches. It looked like. I mean, I'm sure it's thinner and thicker in certain areas, but yeah, snow, more snow. um, I don't hate snow itself. I just greatly dislike being cold. I don't like to be cold. I really dislike being cold. Yeah, I remember when I went in to have my son, my feet getting cold, and it just really being a downer, having freezing toes. I mean, it's bad enough you're there with your feet in the air and in stirrups, and you're all exposed, and there's strangers coming in and out. Maybe the only person when you're giving birth is your OBGYN, and everybody else is hospital staff you've never met before. And I'm sure they think nothing of it because they deliver babies every day, blah blah blah. But yeah, my coochie's hanging out, and y'all just coming in and out like it's nothing. But I don't like to be cold, and that how cold my feet were stood out so badly in my mind from having my son, that I made sure I wore a really warm pair of socks when I went to have my daughter several years later. And when my water broke, my socks got wet. And so they had to come off anyway. And again, I had cold feet. I just really hate to be cold. Everybody's got something they really dislike. And mine is cold. I don't like to be cold. So yeah, other people who snowboard and ski are probably tickled pink at all the snow we got last night here in Utah, but not me, because I had to go out there and clean my car off before I could go run and do errands today. One of them was go into the office at work to talk to our ASDS, Carrie. She's an awesome lady. I really like her. And, I kind of really like everybody at work. I don't think there's anybody at work I dislike at all. I work with some really wonderful people. But yeah, so, letting them know what's going to be my last day at this particular site. But one of the reasons I chose Home Depot was excuse me, transferability. And it's supposed to not be too complicated a process to transfer when you need to. But I've made some phone calls today, like they directed me to some Home Depots near my new apartment in Las Vegas, and left some messages, because nobody answered the phone at any of them, so I left, my name, my employee ID, my phone number, that I'm going to be there living soon, and that was a few hours ago, and a couple hours ago, I guess. I'm probably a little anxious, and nobody's called me back yet, so I'll give it to tomorrow morning before I start making more phone calls. Yeah, hey, it's me again, and this is when I'm going to be there, and this is when I'm hoping to start. I don't think they should have a problem, getting me in wherever. So I can run a couple of various pieces of equipment, and I've been there for over 2 years, going on 3 this year, and you know, and when I checked out the Home Depot job sites for that area, you know, there was no shortage of positions available. So even if it wasn't, you know, me staying with what I'm currently doing, I'm not opposed to doing something else and learning something else if I don't know how to do it already. But, you know, so I guess I just need to kind of chill because I've got so much to do and just like, okay. So making a point to make sure I don't pack anything I may have been sitting on just in case. I'm kind of bad about that. I guess you know, having had a homeless experience with my children when they were little, you know, I'm kind of bad sometimes at throwing things away because I'm afraid I'll find myself without something I need. So so yeah, it's scary. It's scary to relocate. And hopefully, you know, my transfer goes through smoothly and everything. And like I said, you know, I'm a little anxious. I'm a little concerned. Got, you know, a new area to learn and get used to, and crossing my fingers that everything goes right. And I know Cherokee would probably berate me for this, but you know, I hope if there's a creator, if there is a God, that he's watching over us, and that he's, you know, he's gonna do his best to soften people's hearts, help us be strong, and you know, because our lives have been rough. Things have been tough, and you know, I'm sure some people can't even imagine it. Some of the things that we've gone through, but you know, life is not fair for most of us. It's just the way it is, and you gotta cope the best you can most of the time. Ramen noodles, all I can tell you is they were not meant to be eaten 3 times a day, you know, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But you know what? For some of us, that's what happens. You know, you're eating ramen noodles and macaroni and cheese, you know, every day, and you know, a couple times a day, because that's all you can afford sometimes. And it shouldn't be like that, but that's just the way it is for some of us sometimes, and for some of us most of the time. And people say ignorant things, assuming the worst about you because they don't know you and they don't know your situation. You know, they assume you're not doing well because you're lazy. You ask my daughter any day of the week and she'll tell you in a heartbeat without blinking that mom's a workaholic. Mom will work her butt off for you. You know, I like to be busy, and I like to be occupied. You know, I don't believe in being idle. You know, even when I do something to rest, for me, that usually still involves reading, and often not reading something that's total trash. I'm not into reading trash, but I do like to write trash. So so I write too in my spare time. So I'm an unsuccessful writer. You know, nothing I've written has been published, but oh well. You know, I still like to do it. It's something that helps me cope. So and the other thing I do when I can afford to do it is crochet. you know, if you go in and you look at the price of a, you know, a thing of yarn, it doesn't look like it's very expensive. But if you think about how many of those it takes to do something like an Afghan, you know, you know, just, you know, like a full-size blanket type of Afghan, oh my goodness, you know, if you got to buy, you know, 20 of those, it starts to get expensive, you know. So, you know, so I don't get to crochet very often, but, you know, if occasionally I get to turn out something, usually small, a small gift for somebody here and there, that type of thing. But yeah, so hopefully everything goes smoothly, and like I said, God is there. If there's a creator that is supposed to be watching over us, I hope he is, and I hope he, like I said, softens people's hearts and helps us be strong, and, you know, and helps some things go smoothly in our lives, because for most of my life especially, things have been hard. I don't think most of my family knows just how hard, because most of my brothers and sisters didn't grow up with me. They had their own mothers that they lived with, and I know my dad, you know, wasn't there a lot, and you know, and he was doing what he felt he needed to do or whatever at that time in his life. You know, I understand. For the most part, for him, I'm just one of many. And I don't think that necessarily means that I'm not special to him in any way at all. But, you know, he can't put me above anyone else. You know, I'm not any better than any of my other brothers and sisters. You know, we all got our trials, and we all got our strengths and our weaknesses, and all I can tell you is, you know, some people think that if you have a degree like I do, that that you should be living high on the hog. You know, that you should never be poor. You know, you got a degree, you should be able to do anything. You know, and it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. You know, and our country is not set up for it to work like that, and the states do not cooperate with each other. So my degree from Ohio is just about worthless here in Utah. Supposed to be changing some laws here in Utah now to make that easier in some areas, but you know, I'm just at the point now where I'm not concerned with it anymore. Is even if they made that simpler, you know, I would still be a brown girl with a bone in her nose and multiple piercings in my ears, which is a big no-no here, due to the strong church presence. And I'm not saying a strong church presence is a bad thing, but they definitely need to work on acceptance. You know, we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different life experiences. We all have different heritages, you know, and I'm not ashamed of anything that makes me me, you know, the good, bad, the ugly, and the downright and terrible, you know. So, so we'll see how this goes. And say a prayer for us, whether Cherokee likes it or not. And I'll do my best to keep you informed and try to keep you in the loop via this way, because I know I don't have the time to call everybody I want to call and tell you I love you, and you know, and all of those things, and just too much going on to try and keep up with all of that, you know. So I hope this is acceptable. All right, take care.